Here are the 3 most valuable lessons from the Buddha. 1. Don't let your thoughts rule you. Realize that your thoughts are conditioned phenomena, lacking inherent substance. They don't define reality, they shape it. Liberate yourself from these delusions and connect with your true essence. 2. We are all one. Every entity, from the vastest galaxies to the tiniest microbes, participates in a grand cosmic ballet that spans the universe. Acknowledging our intrinsic part in this interplay fosters boundless love and compassion. 3. Everything is impermanent. No emotion, no phase of life, not even life itself lasts forever. Everything is perpetually evolving. Grasping this concept encourages us to savor each instant, awakening a deep-seated gratitude.
3 things that mentally strong people do. Number 1, they do not react to negativity. Instead, they respond to it with positivity. Number 2, they know the art of staying calm even under pressure. And number 3, they only compete with themselves, not with others. Namo Buddhaya.
My friends, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared Podcast, where here we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only Austin Creed, and my friends, today we're talking about what mentally strong people do and the 3 poisons that you must avoid at all costs. Because if you don't, they will enter into your brain and they will slowly eat away at your future. Now, I am not a Buddhist. I want to preface that by saying that I am not a Buddhist. However, I find Buddhist spiritualism to be very educational, and I find it to be very applicable to most people's lives. Now, without further ado, as I go on throughout the show, I realize that some of you might not be familiar with Buddhism, you might not understand the ins and outs, and while I am no expert, what I do want you to contemplate throughout this entire show is, where are you spiritually? Where are you wanting to go with your life? And are you winning the war within? Because make no mistake about it, if you are not fighting the war within, or you don't even know what I'm talking about, you're in the dark. If you have no idea what it's like to compete with yourself and you're always comparing yourself to other people, you are living your life backwards. Because it is an unfair comparison, it is self-deprecating, and it does not get you to where you want to go. So without further ado, I want to share this article that I found with y'all right here. And this is the 3 poisons of Buddhism. Now, I found this because I've been really getting into spiritualism for the book that I am actually writing, titled The Man and the Monkey. Don't worry, it's not on the bookshelf, it's not out to go buy yet, but it's something that I'm writing, and it's comparing the two, the duality, the dualism of Rene Descartes, and comparing this idea of 2 separate things, but they still become one, the mind and the body. And the 3 poisons of the mind that will affect you physically are the following, and let me read them to you. It says the 3 poisons are greed, hatred, and delusion. Now, according to this article, says the 3 poisons are opposed by 3 wholesome or 3 positive attributes essential to liberation, which is what was kind of touched on in the first video that I showed at the beginning of the show. Generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom. Let me ask you something, my friends. When was the last time that you felt loved? When was the last time that you were generous to somebody? When was the last time that you really asked for wisdom? For those of you who know anything about Judaism, when Solomon was asked by God what it is he wanted, he said he wanted wisdom. Not riches, not women, not status. He wanted wisdom. And because God loved his answer so much, he gave him everything plus interest. My friends, if you do not chase wisdom, if you do not chase the ideal version of yourself and to improve every single day, you're wasting your time. You're losing on valuable time that you could be using to become better. Say you like a girl and she doesn't like you right now, or say that you don't have the money that you want right now and you don't know how to get it. You might have an idea, you might just be drifting. You don't know what you're doing. The only way to find out where you want to go is to first find out who it is that you are. If you don't know where you're going, probably because you don't know who you are. If you know who you are, if you're a business person, or you are a philosopher like me, or whether it's maybe you're a designer, whatever it is that you are, once you know who you are, you'll know where it is you should go. But most people don't even get that far. Let's keep going with this article about the 3 poisons that you should avoid. And those poisons we defined already were greed, hatred, and delusion. Delusion is the interesting one. What is delusion? It is ignorance. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge, whether it be willful or unwillful. Let's keep reading this. It says, Buddhist practice is directed towards the cultivation of these virtues and the reduction or destruction, keyword, of the poisons. The practitioners identify these thoughts that give rise to the 3 poisons and don't dwell on them, while nurturing the thoughts that give rise to the 3 positive attributes. So it's saying the first step is to identify these 3 poisons. If you actively engage in greed, or they translate it as lust. When we're as young men, I can also speak for the young women too, because I see it, okay? Takes 2 to tango when it comes to lust and overindulgence in sex. My friends, if you are not using your hormones, okay, according to the 2nd chakra, the 7 chakras of Hinduism, I believe, is the one who came out. The Hindi were the ones who came up with this concept, I believe. 7 chakras. The 2nd chakra is associated with sexual desire, but also with creativity and joy. I know I'm bouncing around to different religions and different philosophies, but because it's important that you see the correlation. Multiple different cultures have explored the same concepts and have come to similar conclusions. Ones that will benefit you in your life and in your journey to discover who it is you are or who it is you want to become. Let's keep going, because we don't need to look far to see the 3 poisons at work. We see them every day in the news and in the streets. And if we pay attention, we can see them in our own minds and in our own actions. Do you see greed or lust? Do you see hatred or anger? Or do you see delusion and or ignorance in your everyday life? I can guarantee you do, whether it's on the internet or in the streets. Keep going. Because then if we pay attention, we can see them in our own minds and actions. The arising of these feelings may be outside of our control. We do not choose to be angry, for instance, but recognizing how greed, hatred, and delusion cause tremendous harm in the world can help us learn to manage them. I would slightly argue with this a little bit, actually. The arising of these feelings may be outside our control. I would argue a little bit with that. I think that the initial arising is centered around your framework for your own mind. If you are quick to anger, it's because you do not believe yourself to have authority, and you do not believe that you have control over yourself. Because if you're trying to control a situation, you're already doing it wrong. Because if you can control yourself, you will then control the situation. Because a lot of people who try to overcompensate will end up wrapping themselves into a pretzel of their own design and hang themselves by their own petard. My friends, I want you to really think about this, because if you don't understand what we're talking about, you are behind. There are so many books I recommend that you learn from immediately, but I'm not going to get into all of them right now. What I will do for you, though, is I will go back to this article, because I think it's something that we need to look at. It says, though commonly referred to as poisons, the Buddha first introduced these mental attitudes as fires in the fire sermon. It says, monks, all is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fires of lust, with the fires of hate, with the fire of delusion, end quote. Fire is a central metaphor of Buddhism, typically as a negative quality of mind or consciousness. Now that's interesting. I have not read all this beforehand, by the way. Putting out these fires is the goal of Buddhist practice. The word nirvana is derived from the exhausting of fire. Now that's interesting to me. What else does he say? Says one of the Buddha's chief disciples was once asked, "What is nirvana?" And here's what he said. You ready for this one? He says, "The destruction of greed, the destruction of anger, and the destruction of delusion. This is nirvana." Now, my friends, I understand we're getting very spiritual today. I get that. A lot of you probably don't care so much about the spiritual. You care more about, how can I make this applicable to my life? How can I make this applicable to what I do every single day? Let me ask you something. Do you easily get angered? Are you quick to lust after that which might not even be good for you half the time? Are you ignorant of what's going on around you, willfully, or not even aware of it sometimes? My friends, these are fires that are consuming parts of your life. Do you not have a desire to learn? Are you quick to anger over things that you may not be able to control? Are you lustful? Are you greedy? These things are subversions of what will actually lead you to solace in your life, to the solutions that you so crave, that your soul craves, that will make your life better. If you don't understand, which I had to learn myself, by the way. I know I can come across as a guy who knows everything. I'm some all-knowing monk of some kind or another, but I'm not. I'm a guy just like you. But I want to ask you a question. What is it about life that you want? And what is holding you back? I can guarantee you, if you boil down everything that you say is in your way, everything that you say is hindering you, everything that you say is causing you distress, it could probably be boiled down to the three things we talked about, which I'll pull back up on the screen again, right here. Greed, hatred, and delusion. A lot of it can be boiled down to those three simple things. Let's go down here at the very end of this article. The three poisons are depicted at the center of the wheel of life. A visual representative of the sorrows of, oh gosh, I hope I don't mispronounce this. Samsara? Hopefully that's not wrong. I apologize if it is. Greed is depicted as a rooster, hatred as a snake, and delusion as a pig. Well, that's interesting. Importantly, they literally feed off one another. Now, that's exactly what I was just saying. They tend to work in unison, and they each affect your life in a different way. And they feed off of each other. Each animal consumes the tail end of the other in a vicious cycle of delusion. The centrality of the three poisons demonstrates their role in powering the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the escape from which is nirvana. Now, I find that interesting. My friends, at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, I want you to improve. I want you to be better. And so when I point out these things, whether it be hatred, greed, or delusion, it's because I see them in my own life too. And I want you to not fall victim to these three poisons that are going to, if not taken care of, will take root in your mind and will rot your life from the top down. The fish rots from the head down. And I don't want you to fall victim to this. I want you to be in control and be strong-minded. Think for yourself and not drift. But in order to do that, you need to fight for yourself. You need to be able to self-reflect and realize that a lot of problems are coming from within. And the only person who could solve them is you. And the only person that can have the desire must start with you. And the only way you're going to do it is if you start now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel like it. No, now. My friends, I want you to take care of yourselves, and I want you to become the best. Not just better, Not just, not just mostly better, the best version of yourself. And the only way you can do that is if you pick yourself up by your own bootstraps and you fight the good fight. My friends, God bless you. God bless your family, and God bless America. We are out of here. Have a great day.